All right, so getting ready for class, some pre-instruction things that I would do before any of the students arrive is I would make sure that my seating layout is correct for what we'll be teaching. Make sure that the temperature is good and comfortable for students. I'll make sure the lighting is also appropriate. Make sure there's no distractions on the walls or any loud noises or anything that may distract the students. I'm also going to run through all of my slides, make sure that they are working appropriately and that I'm familiar with all the equipment that I'll be using. And I'll also run through my materials, make sure that I am ready to go, that the materials are up to date and good for this class. I'll also make sure that I have everything that I need for the practical exam as well as the written exam. All right, well, starting out, hello, my name is Timothy Coleman. I've been with North County Fire for about a year, and I'm excited to get to teach you guys today how to tie some of the common figure 8 knots. So just a couple good to knows, in case of an emergency, right out that door and to the left, is the emergency exit, and we can go out there in case of an emergency. Also, restrooms are down this hall and to the right. Feel free to use those whenever necessary. Make sure to sign the student roster as well, and I think everybody got that, so we should be good. All right, we got all those. So the topic for today is the figure 8 knot, or the figure 8 family of knots, which is a group of 4 knots, which are very commonly used in the fire service. They're also very commonly used in like rock climbing and many different aspects of recreational use. So they're important in fire department for how we use them in hoisting tools, for technical rescue. If you're a rope tech, you'll be using those a lot for different rescue situations. Also for minor utility purposes, such as tying off a stopper on the bottom of a rope bag. Also just for a bunch of different utility purposes as well. And just like for what it's important, they're also useful in those situations. It's a very strong knot and is able to be used a lot it's very versatile. So hopefully by the end of this class, you'll all be able to tie the figure 8 knot, the figure 8 on a bite, and the figure 8 follow through. I'll also be having a little written test for you to go through, and so hopefully we'll all be able to tie those efficiently by the end of the program. So the figure 8 knot is 1 in 4 knots of the figure 8 family of knots. There are for the figure 8 knot, the figure 8 bend, figure 8 on a bite, and figure 8 follow through. The most common ones that we use are the figure 8, the figure 8 on a bite, and the figure 8 follow through. The figure 8 is basically the ground level of the knots, and then you can use that one to tie all of the other knots as well. And like I said, it's used for hoisting. Usually we use it for hoisting chainsaws, but it can be used for tying off many different things or hoisting something as long as it has a secure handle. And so with that, we'll be going over how to tie it. So the figure 8 is a very easy basic knot, just 2 twists and then you pull the end of the rope through, and that is the figure 8. The figure 8 on a bite, for small objects we can do it this size, but for hoisting a chainsaw we would make it significantly larger, so that's a figure 8 on a bite. And you'll want to make sure that you dress the knot appropriately. That means making sure that all the rope is not tangled up and that it all flows. You'll be able to see it when you're tying it, but that it all flows well. That makes sure that it can support the most weight and that it won't fail in different situations. And so it's something we always want to do after tying a knot, is make sure that it is dressed. And the figure 8 follow through is actually going to be just normal figure 8 with a large tail. And then if we were to tie it off, say, to this leg, I would tie it around the leg of the table and then follow back through the knot. You want it looser, but follow back through the knot, just following the way it came in. And then pulling it tight. And then it basically turns into the figure 8 on a bite, but you're able to do it around an object that you may not be able to slide it over. And then again, making sure that you dress, you can see how it looks flat, and these pieces are a little bit loose, so you'll want to pull all the edges tight, make sure that it is a secure knot. So that is the follow through. All right, so if you guys want to review this, we'll start with just the figure 8, the basic figure 8, if you want to tie that for me. Perfect. So that one's a very easy and secure knot, especially for a stopper, because it won't easily become undone. All right, if you want to tie this one for me. Perfect. All right. And now, if you could tie, if you want to come up as well, if you could tie the figure 8 on a bite for me. And then just make sure to twist that. There you go. Perfect. And then just make sure that it's dressed. Yeah, you can see how it's twisted up a little bit right there. You just want to loosen it up a bit and get it all straightened out appropriately. And so that's just to make sure, again, like when you have a ton of weight on this end, that it is secure and won't like pop out of place and potentially fail. All right, if you could tie the basic figure 8 for me. Perfect. Yeah, and if you want to do the figure 8 on a bite. And you guys remember what the most common tool that we hoist with is?
Oh, a chainsaw?
That is correct. Perfect. And if you want to do the figure 8 on a bite as well. Very nice. And then just make sure that it's all dressed. Perfect. All right, and if you want to try the follow through, if you want to, or if you can try it on an object, working on the initial figure 8 and then doing the follow through off of that.
My arms are a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, he has some small arms, LT. Long, it's lots of slack here.
Yeah, you'll need a lot of slack for the follow through. It tends to heat it up more than you expect. Perfect. And then you just want to make sure that it's dressed appropriately. All right, cool. If you want to try it next. And after everybody feels comfortable tying the knots, we'll do a little test.
So close.
Yeah, that's good. Usually, actually, you'll want at least 6 inches of tail off the end of that, and so that one would be too short to be secure, but it works for now. You get the picture. And then you'd want to make sure that it's dressed as well. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Oh. Only the first time someone's tried that.
Perfect. Very cool. Yeah, that's good. A couple things I wanted to touch on really quick. When you're hoisting a chainsaw with the figure 8 on a bite, you would, I don't have one up here right now, otherwise I would show you exactly, but you'll need a lot of loop on it so that you can make it all the way around the chainsaw. Make sure that it's dressed, and then you would take, if you had the chainsaw and the blade going out, you go through the handle and around the blade, and so you'll need the loop to be very large. Also, in utility purposes, most rope bags have a hole at the bottom, and usually you would tie just the basic figure 8 on the bottom of the bag, and that would help stop any rope from falling out if you were to use it all the way. Does everybody feel comfortable enough to be tested on those 3 knots? All right, cool. All right, well, if I could have you two step over there while I test them, I would make sure that no students are given an unfair advantage, and that there is test security when I am administering either a written or a practical test. So in this case, I could have the other students step to the side so that they can't get an unfair advantage by observing the other students do the test. All right, so if you could tie a figure 8 for me. Perfect, and if you could do a figure 8 on a bite. Just make sure that it's dressed. All right, good. And then do a figure 8 follow through. If you just want to do it on my arm, that works. Perfect. Awesome. All right, I can sign that right there. All right. So if you could tie a figure 8 for me. There you go. Perfect. If you could do a figure 8 on a bite. Perfect. And if you do a figure 8 follow through, you can just do that on my arm. And just want to make sure that it's dressed. All right, there you go. You're good. If you wouldn't mind signing that for me. Perfect. And if you wouldn't mind just taking this short quiz for me on notes. Thank you. Perfect. I'll make sure that all tests, practical and written, are properly stored so that test security is maintained at all times, and make sure that they're put in a secure place. All right, so that concludes our review of the figure 8 family of knots. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. All right, and if you need to contact me, my contact information is over there. Feel free to contact me with any questions you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.